being a coach at the NHL level, whether it's another coach or mentor, what was one story or one of the bigger stories that you being able to learn from these NHL coaches? Obviously, you being a student of the game, there's many things I'm sure you're picking up, but is there something that you can share with the followers that you've learned, something that really sticks out from these head coaches or assistant coaches?
Yeah, I mean,
Dealing with players, maybe the way they do it, or the way they push players, or even maybe just the skill side. I don't just anything. Does anything stick out to you?
yeah, I guess the biggest thing when dealing with players is how important honesty is. They don't want to hear kind of fluff. They just tell them how it is, good or bad, and then let's move on. And so the importance of being honest and being genuine. And I don't think that's an NHL thing. I think that was important when I coached in Hershey and in Quinnipiac, that I was genuine with guys and honest and um, fair in my assessments, both positive and negative. Um, Players want to be believed in, at whatever level that is. And so the importance of being genuine and honest, I think, has stuck out. And then the simplicity of the game, or being good with details. I think it's easy to watch highlights the morning after the game and see the high level plays or the finish part of a high level play and think that's what guys do every shift. But in reality, there's simple habits and simple details they do over and over and over again to be consistent. And then through that consistency, they find themselves with opportunities to make a play and use their skill. And that's what you see in the highlights. But that ability to be consistent is, I think, what separates minor league players from NHL players, and anywhere through that line of major high school hockey, junior hockey to college to pro. The ability to be consistent with game and your details is what gets you to that next level, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. So obviously, too, right, being honest too comes with a maturity to the player too. So would you have any advice of, maybe a younger player, sometimes they can't just handle the straight truth. Like, how could you deal with that with like the younger players, maybe at the, Pee-wee bantam age of 11 years old to 14 years old, in that age? I mean, you have to probably teach honesty. That's the way it is. I'm behind that, where you got to be honest with the player, because then it's straight to them and there's no really gray area.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ability to self-evaluate, once a player learns to self-evaluate and be honest with himself and his performance, good or bad, the quicker an athlete can do that, he can make adjustments and keep getting better. The other thing is understanding mistakes happen in every single game at every single level. So, like, being honest doesn't mean we're screaming at our guys every time there's a mistake, because that's not we yell very little on our staff. And in my history of coaching, I yell very little, because the game is too fast to think you're going to play it without mistakes happening. And so I think the focal point is needs to be on habits. And when your habits start to slip, then you need to make an adjustment. And when you stop competing, you need to be, that needs to be made aware to you if you're not aware of it yourself. So I think those are the kind of the focal points for whether a guy in the Capitals or an 11-year-old in Victoria.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Last question here. Biggest highlight or highlights coaching the Washington Capitals and the All-Star roster that you have. Anything stick out here with that? Any cool stories?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been pretty lucky. Like my first game, obviously they had won the Stanley Cup the year before, so I'm on the bench when they're raising the banner, and that was a pretty unique moment to be on the ice for or to be on the bench when they're raising the banner and the crowd's going crazy and getting the rings. And I hope I'm in that scenario again, but that's just not something I envisioned being part of my career or life when I got into coaching. But that was pretty cool. This past year, Ovi scoring his 700th goal in Jersey. That was a pretty cool moment to be a part of, just knowing that goes down in history. That's a massive number, 700. And just how genuine our guys were, how happy everybody was, how hard he works to get that accomplishment. So I would say those are probably like my first game, just because it was my first game, then a banner raising, and then for an individual moment, Ovi scoring his 700th was pretty cool. I mean, we've had other ones where we've had some pretty good comeback wins, and the games versus Pittsburgh are awesome. It's such a legit rivalry. It's both teams there's so much scar tissue from the last 15 years of the two programs or two organizations that it's a real rivalry. I think there's respect, and it's not dirty, but it's elevated when we play those guys. And so those are really fun games to be a part of.
Yeah, pretty cool to be able to share that experience and stories with others. I mean, back when we were playing together, my freshman year, we made it to the finals, the ECAC, and we lost to Clarkson. But back then, when we finished your senior season, like, could you have even, you look back, like, would you be saying that you're on the bench with the Washington Capitals and watching the banner being raised and coaching all these big names that all these fans, see and watch and familiar with, and that's pretty cool to be able to share those moments. Obviously, still have the goal to win the Stanley Cup with the team, being a part of the team, but
for sure,
yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think 3 years ago I would have said that's what was going to happen. The one thing I've really realized is how important relationships are in hockey. It's such a small world. It's important to maintain relationships. And, when I got the one last story I can share with you is when I got my first job in Hershey, the head coach in Hershey, I played for my rookie year, Troy Mann, and then two assistants, Todd Reardon and Lane Lambert. I played for my second year in Wilkes-Barre, Todd, and my third year in Milwaukee for Lane. And so 7, 8, 9 years previous. So I think if I would have been a bad person or had bad experiences with any one of those three guys, I don't think I get the job that I got. So I think that having relationships and creating relationships, maintaining them is so important when trying to move up the ladder as both a player and a coach.